Today, we begin our series on leadership. Leadership determines the effectiveness of any organization. Hello again, Eli's dad here as we continue with Project Eli to educate, lead, and inspire. Big subject today that produces big results. There is much to discuss, so eavesdrop closely as I mentor my son, Eli the Great. Let's get started. To be clear, we have already gotten started, but before we mentor anybody on leadership, it is necessary that the mentee understand what it takes to be a success. To give a quick review of what you must already comprehend, I offer the following. First, you must have a clear, singular purpose. Second, it must be a burning desire that you envision every day. Third, you must have a plan that gets you to the starting line. Fourth, you must start. Fifth, you must have the mindset of plan, do, review, adjust, repeat. Sixth, you must accept failure as feedback. That is, that the universe provides you with failure as its way of redirecting your efforts to enable you to reach your desired outcome. Seventh, you must seek to gain momentum to power you through the roadblocks. Eighth, your progress must be measurable and it must be measured. That is, you must seize the data and make adjustments accordingly. And ninth, you must adhere to the following success prescription. Production equals purpose times passion times pace times performance times persistence. Eli, if you're not clear on all of these points right now through our previous lessons, then you must stop immediately and revisit those lessons. You cannot run before you learn to walk. Now, as we always do before we begin any project, we must ask ourselves, why? Why is leadership so important? Well, leadership is both an art and a science. In recent years, we, as a people, have had a difficult time straddling the line between following and emulating a worthy leader and pursuing individual freedom. When someone disagrees with the direction of a worthy leader, they're quick to point out that their freedom of choice is being jeopardized. Allow me to translate that for you. I don't want to do as the leader suggests because I don't have the drive or energy to perform the task at hand. Besides, I am entitled to more money and a higher position of status, and I shouldn't have to exert that kind of effort. And by the way, I'm also lazy. Now let's be clear. The other limiting issue is that people seek to be one of the masses and not grab hold of the reins of leadership. I cannot express it better than Brendan Burchard does. He writes, in actuality, most people don't want to hold themselves or others to a higher standard because the former requires discipline and the latter invites conflict. And so, they excuse their poor behavior and don't call out social wrongs. They no longer firmly expect themselves or others to act with virtue, compassion, excellence, or wisdom. They look away when their bosses do something wrong. They don't tell their children to improve their behavior because they don't want to be too controlling. They can't tell the team to shape up because they don't want to appear to be too bossy. Without more people deciding to serve as role models and leaders, our society has become a suffering case of the silent and bland leading the silent and bland. There's a confused complacency. Everyone knows there's more for us, but it's just too much trouble to organize ourselves to chase it. It's easier to indulge in our comforts, our profits, our easygoing ways. Such habits have reduced our individual greatness and lead to a worldwide failure in leadership. This is evident when we see an apathetic populace, unjustifiable poverty, and unconscionable greed. If we continue on this path, history will not be kind to us, and a cheated destiny will exact its revenge. That's Brendan Burchard. Now, frankly, Eli, we're at a stage where we need more and better leaders than ever before. With the amount of knowledge doubling every 2.5 years or so, we need leaders that have wisdom and resolve to look out for us in the long term and not to succumb to short-term gratification in a world that looks for the quick fix without regard to long-term consequences. As I've mentioned to you before, and pleaded might be a better word, it is necessary to pay attention to small mistakes that can be corrected. When you allow a series of errors to remain unchecked, the situation then becomes a crisis, and change must occur or cataclysmic consequences will follow. It's much easier to keep your eye on the ball and make small adjustments than to let errors continue to fester. The unsolved opportunity is that it takes courage, stones, grit, and guts to ask for small change, because changing a status quo is never a popular option for the masses. Henry Ford once stated that if he had asked the masses what it was they wanted the most, they would have asked for a bigger horse and buggy. Most people have jobs where they fight change. That is, they work overtime to defend their status quo. They're comfortable. It's exhausting maintaining a system in the face of needed change. It grinds you down. This happens because for most people, the certainty of misery is more desirable than the misery of uncertainty. This is my why for taking the time to teach you about leadership. Remember, every endeavor that you undertake should begin with a why. So let's begin. Actually, Eli, if you think about it, leadership is simple. The object of leadership is to get a group of people to follow the success formula as a team. That's it. That's the how. Get the team to adhere to the formula for success together. The most important factor that works in favor of the leader is that the laws of the universe work whether they're being performed consciously or unconsciously. They work without prejudice, just as the law of gravity works without prejudice. So, the objective of the leader is to get these laws working in a positive way to accomplish the desired outcome. This is the science of leadership. It's important to understand the science of success because you must always remember that unsuccessful people outnumber successful people 19 to 1. Just because I don't know how a car engine works doesn't mean that I can't turn the key and drive away. Just because the majority of the people that you will lead and work with don't understand the laws of success, that doesn't mean that you can't teach them to turn the key, they can't begin to put the car in gear, establish motion, steer clear of obstacles, and gather momentum to reach their destination. That's why so many people define leadership as the ability to add value. The ability to teach, train, motivate, and perform certainly adds value. As a leader, Eli, I urge you to keep it simple. The crux of the situation is, how can I get my team to perform the steps of achievement and success as a united entity? That's it. Utilize the science. Now, I've studied many knowledgeable experts on this subject. Many of these experts I will quote in this course on leadership. They include, but are not limited to, Brendon Burchard, John Maxwell, Simon Sinek, and Tony Robbins. I've also had the privilege of working hands-on with my personal mentors, Bob Anderson, Mort Mutnick, and Jeff Waspy. In addition to acknowledging these folks for their contributions to my leadership education, my point is that one mentor is not enough. Nobody knows everything. When you have a worthy mentor, treat them like platinum because they are more valuable than gold. These folks all understand what it takes to be effective as a leader. The different ways that they accomplish this deed is the art of leadership. The first question that must be answered is, how do I become a leader? Well, Brendon Burchard responds, and I quote, "In our push-button, instant everything world, people often seem to want to take an express route from their first stages of learning straight to leadership. Of course, you know it doesn't work that way. When you start at the beginning of anything, you're at the highest level of anxiety. As you learn through study and doing, information and experience, book smarts and street smarts, You gradually lower your level of anxiety by raising your level of mastery. As you continue climbing that ladder of knowledge, remember right foot, left foot, and study, action, you keep your eyes on worthy mentors. Always using learning through modeling as your learning gyroscope to keep you on track. Using those 3 dimensions of learning, study, do, and model, in time, your level of mastery rises to the point where you turn around and realize that others are modeling you. You've become worthy of emulating. How do you become a leader? Through honestly pursuing the path of self-mastery and continuous learning. Unquote. So now that you've become a leader, Eli, what do you do now? Before we answer that question, I'd like to point out to you, being a leader is very much like being the coach of a sports team. The similarities are astounding. The skills that are employed by the successful coach and the successful leader in business, politics, an environmental cause, or any secular or non-secular endeavor are virtually the same. In fact, our best coaches are also some of our best leaders. Since the two, coaching and leadership, are so congruent, I'm going to use coaching as a major tool to illustrate many of the different facets of leadership. I feel fortunate that I've had the benefit of learning what to do from several good coaches in my basketball days, and also the benefit of having the tutelage of a very skilled business mentor that I must mention by name. His name is Bob Anderson, and he mentored me from being someone answering a blind ad from the newspaper for a management trainee position to become a divisional vice president in charge of multiple sales offices. Mr. Anderson made me promise that I would pass along what he taught me to others, and I've already developed several people in his image. There is, however, no one more important to tutor than you, Eli, my #1 son. As always, please don't forget to check out the description box below and make sure you own the material. That is, if you're really serious. Now, next time we get together, we'll begin to illustrate how to get started with some successful leadership blueprints, the why and because they are necessary, and how to make them work. If you don't want to miss that, make sure that you have subscribed and you have rung the bell. If you find this video worthy to share, please do so with worthy friends. Our thought for the day: it is wonderful what great strides can be made when there is a resolute purpose behind them. And because we never end our meeting on a philosophical note, get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.